Ladies and gentlemen, this is it, the finale, episode 9 of The Last of Us on HBO. We are about to go hard in the paint. If you have not watched the episode yet, go watch the episode, then come back. Make sure you push the post notifications and go check this out because you don't want to miss what we're going to talk about, but you also don't want to get spoiled. I will say for disclaimer, we will not be talking anything about The Last of Us 2 or anything past that point. We're only going to be making comparisons from the first game and from what we've seen on paper for the last episode and back. Okay, so just letting that know now. First on deck, I have Keaton7. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Hey, we're here, man. Excited. Hopefully you guys checked out our reaction on Twitch. We had an interesting time. Next up, we got Busy Braun. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? I'm so excited to talk about this episode.
Oh yeah, man. A new guest here. I'm gonna give him a little platform. D Pity. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, guys? I've been wanting to join in, but he's been trying to hit me up to come in. I'm a big Last of Us guy, so I'm excited to be part of this conversation.
Yeah, dude, I really want to pick your brain about how you felt about the season in general and then also the finale. So thanks for coming, dude.
Yeah. Sure.
And then my co-host, Ronan Unchained. What's up, dude?
Oh, lordy.
No, you just said, lordy. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, you guys. So we're gonna go ahead and just kind of go right into this. So I'm just gonna ask you guys directly, what impression has the season left on you coming out of this episode? Because it's kind of like sometimes a final episode can be a make or break of a season and also impression on where things are going to go, regardless if you know the game or not. I just want to pick everybody's brain on how do you feel coming out of this episode about the series as a whole? Is it a instant buy? Do you need to buy it and add it to your collection? Does it add resonance to what you feel from the game? If you never played the game, does it add something to you? I'll let you go first, Busy, and then I'll go to Keaton next.
Personally, I'm so impressed with what they've done. I said it before the episode really got too heavy. Like it was like 5 minutes in. I'm like, if this episode, even if how it doesn't matter how this episode plays out, I'm still going to be satisfied with what we got. And it's like seeing a lot of video game adaptations. Sometimes you like, again, it's a hit or miss. So seeing this show just do amazing, seeing them actually take so much inspiration from the game. They have so many scenes that are literally bar for bar. It's so impressive to see what they've done, and it's really exciting to think like what's going to come next with not even just say season 2, but like other video game adaptations. Like, are they going to take inspiration from say this show and start doing more from the actual source material? Because I've seen other video game adaptations kind of go off and do their own thing, but with what The Last of Us done, I don't know, it's just extremely impressive, and I just had a smile the entire episode. It was amazing.
Now, that's a fair point because now the bar is actually set from a live action standpoint. Arcane was amazing.
Oh, for sure,
From a live action standpoint, yeah. Now there's an actual bar.
And League of Legends, it's a little different with Arcane because I mean they're going off of lore, whereas this we actually have a whole story. It's like it's whereas League of Legends, it's just I don't know how to explain it, but it's a little different compared to how to tell the story. Whereas The Last of Us already had a story that can be told, and there's just a lot going on. Where I feel like League of Legends is just so many different routes they could have gone. So I don't know. I applaud both of them, but it's just I'm so excited to see what's going to come next with video game stuff in general. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, no, appreciate you for that. Keaton, same question. So what was your impression of this season as a whole coming out of this episode? Not necessarily from the beginning, but coming out of this episode, what was your lasting impression of the season?
Well, honestly, this hasn't been a happy show throughout the entirety, and so honestly, there was a part of me that hoped they stayed the course, and I wasn't disappointed. It was very different from how the other episodes were, because before they set up this thing where Ellie and Joel just have this rapport and they're there for each other when no one else is, right? Like that's how it kind of felt like that was the vibe before, but by the end of it, it's like, okay, now they're both still there for each other, but they also can't trust, like the trust. There's some trust issues there now, and so I like how they did that.
Yeah. Oh wow, we have another guest coming in. Omni One Media. What's up, dude?
Hey,
How you been, bro? I don't know if you
Howdy,
can hear.
howdy.
Oh, hey.
What's up? I literally just woke up from a nap, so I'm a little late.
Hey, dude, just welcome to be here, dude. So we asked the question about, I mean, regardless if you played the
I
game,
said I'd be here for the finale, and here I am.
regardless if you played the games or not, coming out of this episode,
hear
what do you
anything,
feel about
There we
the
go.
season as a whole? Can you hear? Can you hear us? I don't think you can hear us.
no.
Oh no. Check your audio on settings at the bottom. Can you hear us? No? Yes?
What the hell is going on?
It's okay. I'm gonna help him in the back end. So DP,
There we go.
question. Oh wait. Oh, there you go. Can you hear us?
Yep, I got
There
it.
you go.
I had the browser tab muted for some reason. I don't even know how or why or when that happened.
It's all good, dude. Yeah, so I'm just
Great.
letting you know, this is a disclaimer. We're not talking about the second game or anything.
So when it starts, it's just, goes right into
But the first question we kind of asked is like your impressions of the season coming out of this episode. Because like it's been some amazing moments, but sometimes a finale can make or break your impression of a show. So for you, taking aside what you know about the series and the story, coming off of the last episode, what do you feel like your impressions are of the season?
I absolutely loved it, man. I thought they landed it because I had just retreaded that section myself, and it was, I mean, as far as like to go, I think the ending of the game itself was already like masterful, especially with what they were kind of setting up for it, and they pretty much did the exact same thing as the game did, except they only changed up like one or two scenes and lines of dialogue, but aside from that, it had all the same beats. I thought it was it was just as morally gray as one can expect, just as uncomfortable as you could expect, and I really enjoyed it. Like as the season as a whole, I did have a couple of nitpicks. I know we haven't talked, I think, since I think it was like episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had felt it sometimes like it was in some of the other episodes, especially kind of in the middle, it started to kind of forget about the dangers of the world a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like my only critique is like some of the intense moments from some pretty memorable segments were a little lessened just to keep the pace going.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think they nailed the vibe and the tone of the game. Outside of that, when I was talking about it in my reaction or whatever, I gave it like a 9.5 out of 10. Like even if that like critique or whatever, even it was more of a nitpick than anything. It was like I was like, dang, I was like, those moments in the game are so good, but those moments in the game are so good, and I was like, I can't expect everything to come over. I can't get too greedy with everything. This is still the best video game adaptation that we've had. That's not just Arcane.
yeah, I think
Or Castlevania for me.
Yeah, there's some real truth to that because I mean the biggest thing is, and we said it before, this is the bar from a live action standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
The bar is now set. What comes from this, whether it is this show moving forward or if it's another show, like it brings hope. It brings a whole level of hope that we never thought we could actually have. D-Pity, I want to pick your brain with some of this because we've had a lot of conversations about The Last of Us. I know you're a fan of it. I know you love it. But when you first went into this show, to where you are now, like kind of how do you feel? Like where are you at with the show?
I mean, I feel like the Last of Us game, in terms of storytelling, I feel okay. So my a lot of people don't know this. My background is in literature. That's what I went to school for. I'm a big like writing nut, and the greatest stories are always the ones that people talk about. They leave an impression, and The Last of Us is definitely a very divisive story, and it there is no good guy. Everyone could be looked at and painted as a good guy and a bad guy, and I feel like knowing what happens in the game, coming into the show, all I expected was like, I just hope because the story of the game is already massively written, and I could change it, but I feel like that's one, a disservice to the fans, and two, it's already, everything is just there already. All they have to do is just adapt it to film, or I guess to the TV show, and I think they did an amazing job. Some shots were done like beat by beat. Obviously, some things have to change because it's a different medium. It's not a game, so they have to remove a lot of action elements. I think Omnia Media was pointing out there are like some key elements that, like, you know, people who play the game are like waiting for. But obviously, they have to cut some really awesome things out because of the pacing. It's a TV show. You can't just have guns blazing the entire time. There's some sequences that are like 30 minutes long of like constant shooting and like killing people and all these things. And the way they shot the last episode, I felt like was very visceral without showing every single kill. Like it was just enough there. It was like the way they lowered the volume down, the sound was like kind of muddled, you know, because he's like in a trance. He's like going in on him, and I think it was really good how the game itself, like there's like 100 bodies like per action sequence in the game, and like I think it'd be a little overdoing it if you like kind of have that in the show. So they had to cut a lot out because the medium that it's presented in. But I thought it was adapted, like great, amazing. It was almost, again, it's almost beat by beat. I'm a fan of the storytelling in the show, and so I mean in the game, and so coming in with that bias, I just hope that they adapted it straight. There was no reason to change anything really, except for like the cutting down on the action sequence due to it being a television show within an hour, right? The runtime.
Yeah. There's definitely been people that have been very vocal about like, man, they're not using melee weapons. Man, they're not really surviving necessarily. There's not a lot of action. But for me, I feel like that this is an extension of the game that I love. Like this is adding on to them in so many different ways. Whether you take Bill or Frank, where you bringing in Ellie's mom, you know what I'm saying? Like there are things that they're flushing out that the game couldn't even do back in 2013. So like I truly do love this show, but a part of it though is I've watched this like months ago. So it's like I've had a lot of time to kind of flush everything out. But I think that they definitely did a service to what we remember for fans that are gamers, but also for people like Keaton that didn't know anything about the game, or even my mom who was like, hey, this show is great. Like, is this what happens in the game? And she's questioning like, yeah, this is like in the game, but it's very different too. It's flowing in a way that is digestible. I think that's the biggest thing I could say. But yeah, let's go ahead and kind of get into it, because one of the things I wanted to bring up is something that Keaton brought up last time, which is evil. Like compromise people like that were good but have to do amoral things, and then people that are they considered bad people or good people making compromising decisions? Like where's the moral gray area here? Because I think a good segue is what happened to Ellie. Like Ellie, the whole last episode, everything that she went through is justified what she had to do to survive, and it changed her from the inside out, to the point that Joel was trying to get her out of her funk. He was trying to play jokes, and she just wasn't having it. Like she was traumatized. This man, this sick pedophile man, legitimately tried to kill or do any other thing he could with her or to her. and she survived it, but she didn't come out unscathed. And it changed his perception of what he needs to do. It's not just protecting her physically. He's trying to protect her heart, her innocence. And so we get one of the most amazing moments that I know that Ron is going to want to talk about, that he was kind of waiting for. When we were looking at it, he was like, where is it? Where is it? And I was like, what are you talking about, Ron? He's like, oh, the giraffe. And there's this beautiful moment where he's trying to kind of invite her in, and at the same time she's trying to kind of let go of stuff herself, and they just seeing this giraffe there. And I was kind of curious, Keaton and also Busy, what did you guys think about this moment? Because Busy, you're coming from an approach, you've seen this in the game, but it hits a little different. And Keaton, you didn't know what was happening. You were like, is she about to jump? What is going on?
Well, for me, I mean, honestly, if you remember, the big question that I had last night was the first thing I noticed as soon as I saw the giraffes. It made me think about the cordyceps fungus, because giraffes' body temperature is higher than a human's. And so I had been wondering the whole time, like, did the cordyceps fungus affect other animals? And if not, why not, right? And so, like, as soon as I saw the giraffes, that was the first thing I thought about. And then I think you reminded me that we saw some monkeys as well. So honestly, my mind kind of drifted at that part, because I was just the science portion of the show. I just started kind of thinking about that and trying to figure out, like, how the cordyceps fungus evolved and how it worked. And so I thought the moment was cool. It had a Jurassic Park feel to it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I kind of got tunnel vision and kind of locked in on, like, the science aspect of the show.
Just think of it like a big cow.
Yep.
Busy, what was your take on it, on the moment? Because I mean, it hits different for you because you remember from the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of moments that, like, even if they were smaller moments or whatever, I was waiting for it to happen in the show, because it's like, I know some of these scenes are just, I don't know, they just look so good in the game, so it's like hard to believe that they would pass up putting it into the show. And this was for sure one of them. Like, I was like, okay, how are they going to do this? Are they going to do it? And being in the finale, I kind of just spaced out and just assumed we weren't going to do it. I was just waiting for the last sequence to happen. But as soon as, like, we have Ellie just, wandering, and then we stop and see what she was looking at, I don't know, the whole entire vibe kind of changed. It really kind of slowed things down, considering last episode, we go from her, being traumatized, and then knowing what we're going to be going up against in the upcoming with what was to come in that episode. It was just cool to have that little break, and then to see the way Joel was looking at her. He wasn't even really focused on the drafts, he was focused on her, and seeing kind of her emotion just changing, like the way she smiled as soon as she saw the drafts. Like, he was just focused and kind of taking in her happiness instead of actually looking at the animals itself. I don't know. There was just so much beauty to the scene. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So this is the interesting reason why I asked you guys both that question, because I'm gonna have Omni and DP answer this one. So there were scenes that weren't from the game that we got, and one of the biggest ones was Ashley Johnson's debut in this series.
Oh boy.
Mom.
Yeah.
The second one is Joel's conversation with Ellie about the mark on his head. So Omni and D-Pity, what was y'all's take on first Ashley Johnson being in this and her pivotal role to this symbiotically, and at the same time, like, she's literally giving birth to the character she created. So what did you guys take on her?
I thought it was very, I thought it was very meta. I saw her, I'm just like, at first I was like, is that the voice actress of Ellie? I wasn't sure. I was watching with my girlfriend. She looked it up, said, oh my god, and we're just like kind of freaking out. She's never played the game, but she just thought it was cool. And I guess I don't believe, maybe, I don't know if my memory is foggy, but I don't believe they ever explained how she became immune, right?
No, they never did.
They never did.
Yeah. So I thought it was really cool. I just thought it was kind of like a just a backstory of how she came into the Firefly's hands, but I didn't realize until, I mean, I was kind of slow. She was already pregnant, and then and then I realized when she got the knife out, oh, it's Ellie's knife. Is this gonna explain how she became immune? And like, you know, lo and behold, she gets bit, and then immediately she gets cut, and then, you know, we're just like, it's kind of cool having an explanation, even though I don't think it was needed. I think it was just still a really cool moment, and it definitely gave more of a meaning to the choices at the end. That I forget the lady's name, the leader of the Fireflies, like her choice,
Marlene.
Marlene. Yeah, just juxtaposing her position on her choice with Joel's choice to his decision, because she also lost somebody, and you know, and I mean, we could go talk further into that, but she also had to make a choice for like the greater good, and she even, you know, decided to like take the life of someone she loved, which was her best friend, who since she known since childhood. And then, you know, then you look at Joel's decision, you know, it's like they both lost somebody, and they still had like opposite decisions with Ellie, right?
Yeah, but, that's gonna be part of the gray area that we're gonna talk about, because Marlene made choices that, you know, I mean, the perception of certain people is like, okay, this is wrong. You know, like, it's not even just from the point that she's like, for the greater good. Like, she put Ellie in the place that she was in, made sure Ellie was in a certain place with certain people, and then got her where she needed to get her for her own means, even though she said to her best friend, I will protect her. And I mean, again, like, that's one of the things I love about this episode, because there's so many different interpretations of your perspective on what was right, what was wrong, what was selfish, and at the same time, what was justified. But Omni, same thing. Ashley Johnson in this one, your take on it, and then also the conversation with Joel and Ellie about him wanting to end everything after losing Sarah.
Well, for the Ashley Johnson thing, like, even before her face showed up on screen, I already knew who it was based on just her running noises.
Her grunts. Yes, dude.
Before we ever saw her face, I was like, just like leaning in. I was like, oh God, here she comes. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome, dude. Like, because between this and like her other voice roles and stuff, like, as much like the 30 some hours listening to her voice in game, and then on top of that, like 2 seasons of The Legend of Vox Machina, I'm pretty much familiar with her voice intrinsically by this point. But the fact that, like, she almost more so than Druckmann himself helped shape this character.
Right.
So, like, I think in a lot of ways, like, more so than, you know, just like Bella's ability, you know, as a performer, you know, which they've proven themselves time and time again. But like, in a way, I feel like this is the ideal stamp that you could get to introduce like a new iteration of this character, where the original is quite literally birthing this character,
right?
And being like, they talked about this in the podcast a little bit, is like some of the lines were just kind of like not even written when she's talking to the baby. It's Ellie talking to Ellie.
Yeah.
And she's like, what would Ellie say to Ellie in a way? And she's like, or I can't remember exactly what she says. She's like,
you fucking tell him, Ellie.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you fucking get him, or whatever. I was like,
that's Ashley, guys. Yeah.
I was like, it was like a little meta without being like too meta, you know? And I really, really liked that whole element of it. And this storyline, I think they originally wanted to animate a short around it, but it got scrapped. So a lot of these ideas were kind of floating around, and I think this was like a prevailing theory that this episode just kind of confirmed for everybody at the time. But I love the whole scene. And speaking of the knife, in a way, like Marlene had a decision to uphold like this promise to her best friend.
Yep.
She got her child. She took the knife. He's like, make sure she gets this. And I can't remember if it was heavy spoilers or actually them on the podcast talking about how the knife kind of represents that promise, or at least is a reminder. And you see Marlene, after she makes the decision to betray that promise in the end, can't bear to keep the knife and gives it to Joel. And in a way, it's passing that promise to him. And what does he do next? Protects Ellie.
Right.
And murks them all. Like, it's the promise of that parent being passed down essentially to her next parent. And whether it's good or bad, Ellie's protected by somebody, whether it's intentional or not, in the end, by Anna's will.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy. Like, when you start to like go down that rabbit hole.
Minutia. Oh.
Yeah.
Look at that, guys. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I love that whole segment of it. I love what she brought to it in this small little frame. I've not seen her. I know she's done live action stuff, but I've never actually seen any of her live action work before.
You don't remember Growing Pains?
I honestly never watched it.
You've seen Avengers, right?
Yeah, I was like, come on, Chris Evans.
She was the waitress in
what?
In Avengers,
Yeah.
I need to go back. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Captain America saved my life. Yep.
Yeah, she was in
she had like 2 scenes and then she was in a
Blind
scene
Spot.
as well.
There we go.
Yeah. But she's I mean, just on a dime from improvisation standpoint, like she's got it.
Yeah.
But since Jarrell Alexandria is here, what's going on, dude?
Yo,
what's going on? What's going on, everybody?
Hey. What's going on, man? Good to see you, dude. So I'm gonna give you a tough one. Because and correct me if I'm wrong, I may be wrong. Did Joe ever mention about potentially wanting to end his life and the scar? Like, was this the very first time this was ever?
No. This is very much the first
okay,
time.
so that is where I want to kind of hone in. Jarrell, your interpretation of this. I mean, you've seen the episode a couple different times now, and you may have a different take on it. You can kind of expound on that, but just that specific moment, that conversation, him kind of letting his guard down to her before they kind of have like a bubbly moment before they get captured. What was your take on Joel opening up and bringing that into existence in their conversation, in their relationship?
Well, first off, this is the only time that matters because I actually know what's happening now. There's not just a bunch of fucking blue screen everywhere, and it's like Ellie says this, blah blah blah, But yeah, watching it finish was insane. I will say that sequence hit way harder than whatever I remember, because that was a weird remix from the game, but I thought it was really effective. I almost just slid right into a negative, but I'm gonna slide right back. But no, it was emotional for sure. I don't even think he shed a tear, but he almost did. And it's just a rare thing to see with Joel opening up like that.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of watching this demon cry for a little bit was intriguing. My old demon seed Joel.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. We haven't gotten there yet, but
also I just want to say real quick, the whole Berserk Guts opening where they sort of where the way we witnessed Ellie being born, because I didn't get a chance to comment on this, is crazy. I don't know if I'm in love with it, but just the very concept of Ellie giving birth to Ellie is just outrageous. Whoever thought that is well, I guess this was a very old idea technically, but that's just crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, just kind of honing into that, and anybody can answer this question. When they've been having this running joke about like the scar. Why do you guys think he decided to finally tell her that? Because he didn't have to.
Well, almost killing himself.
Yeah,
he didn't because her distance. She was distant. Like he could see that she was like. It's so fascinating. They flipped it. Joel is not the one talkity and whatnot, and Ellie's the very reserved one and stoic. And that was him opening up the wounds and being like, listen, I've considered just ending it all, but there's another day, or there's even he can say he can't fully explain why he's still here and why he didn't go all the way, but it's for him to tell her that, like, yes, the world is shitty have happened, do happen, and will happen again, but besides that, there's still good in this world. There's still something to live, which is why this scene, the thing with the giraffe, which was it was such a good counter to it. Or before it being like, listen, we just saw a giraffe. That is part of this world. David is part of this world, but also that giraffe is part of this world, and that's got to be worth something to go forth. And yeah, that's the only reason why I could think that, like, he would be that open about it, which also it harnesses their trust, and how without them saying it, he says, you know, it wasn't time that did it. It's him saying, I love you, kid. Like you're the reason why I'm still going forward. And her spectacularly, and I even saying I love you back, being like, I'm glad it didn't work out for you. And it also, it's so fascinating with this episode. There's stuff that connects to stuff that will happen later in the episode that reflects, what does this mean now under this new context?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good internalization. Anybody else want to expand?
I mean, it is worth noting that, like, from the moment that he, like, kind of called her his baby girl to present, I mean, well, especially just you know, scenes before that, like, my man Joel just went full blown psycho for this chick. All right, like, what, the whole stabbing interrogation sequence from episode 8, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he went full blown psycho to get to this chick. So yeah, he's definitely, not only is he kind of, whether he wants to accept it or not, he sort of unconsciously sees her as Sarah now, or like a equivalent. But now that that's in there, and him going full cycle, it makes sense that he's all open and chatty now.
The fun book.
Yeah, we're gonna go deep into that in just a little bit, because there's something, of course, that happens after they have that one moment. I think it was crazy because me and Keem was watching it, and Keem was like, "Where did that come from? Where did that freaking smoke grenade come from?" I was like, "Keem, you didn't see the guy behind?" He's like, "No, I didn't see it." And all of a sudden, you know, Joel wakes up. He's in the hospital. He's like, immediately, like, "Where's Ellie?" He sees Marlene. Marlene kind of commends him. Like, "Look, man, I almost died trying to get here. How did you get here? You know, how did you get all the way? Like, nobody could have done what you did." And she kind of tells him thank you and all this kind of stuff. But he keeps on asking, like, "Where's Ellie at? What's going on with Ellie?" And she's like, "Oh, she's prepped for surgery. Like, you know, they think that, you know, this is promising. What we need to do is secure." And he was like, wait. What y'all talking about removing, you have to remove that from the brain. And she looks down and she's like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Wait, I need to see her. Let me talk to her." And she's like, "I'm sorry. No, like, I can't let you do that." And this is where, to me, I think this is where Neil's writing is genius, because he sets up a situation that's impossible. Because it's not as though, like, Joel just went in, barged in. Like, he asked. He's like,
Yeah.
"Can I go see her and talk to her?" She's already under and unconscious, doesn't know what's going on, so he can't have a conversation with her. We don't know if she's made that decision. And Marlene is taking the choice out of everybody's hands. And so the actions of that one decision pushes everything along, that no matter where you feel about Joel's decision or how you feel about Joel after it, it was provoked from that moment. So I just want us to kind of unpack all that, because I feel like some of this could have been stopped. And then some of it, I think it was almost inevitable, because I think, which one of you guys said it, that he's basically looked at Ellie now as his daughter. Like, no question, like, that is his daughter. And so because of that, any of us that are parents right now, if we were in the same exact situation, me and Jarrell and Ronan had a conversation about this, what would we do?
I'd tear that whole building down. No question. I'd tear that whole building down.
Oh,
no question. That. I don't care about the human race. I care about my daughter. That hospital is going down, and anybody that gets between me is going down. Joel, no, like, real talk. Joel. I've been thinking about this all day.
You're right, but what I'm saying is, I'm
Hold
not
on, let him
mad.
go. Let him go. Let Keaton go. Hold on. We got to unpack
I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this all day because the thing is, the moment he found out they were going to kill homegirl. The look on his face. Y'all remember in Kill Bill when the Ironside theme would start playing?
Yeah.
They would zoom in on the bride, and it was like it's about to get real. That's the face that he had. And when me and Sam were watching it last night, as soon as they said that, I was like, I think I literally said, I was like, he about to kill everybody. I was like, right then. And the thing, it was so methodical because he went ice cold. Like he had the eye of the tiger. Like he was going through that hospital like he was trying to get the invincibility cheat on GoldenEye. Like he cleaned that place out. And the thing is, I feel it because swept it. And the thing is, I feel for him. I really feel for him because he's in such a traumatic state, and he does see Ellie as his daughter. He's not thinking about the human race. He's thinking about the fact that he actually feels alive again. And there's nothing he's gonna do that anybody's gonna do that's gonna take that away from him. And so I still don't put him in that evil category. This is a man that says, I'm not gonna let you kill my daughter. You're not gonna sneak this up on me like this. Cause I mean they've been together for months now. It's not you dropping off groceries. This is a human being. Not just a human being, but a human being that saved his life. He saved her. She saved his life. He saved her life multiple times. And so they're thick as thieves, right? And those people that he gunned down, they might be very good people, but they stepped between him and his daughter. He would have took down 8 hospitals.
They didn't even ask her a damn thing either.
Nope. She woke up saying, "What drugs?
What happened?" She didn't even know anything happened. So, like, while we could assume, had she been given the choice or the ultimatum or whatever, she wasn't even given that choice. So, like, already it's in this weird place where they're so entrenched in saving humanity that her answer, they don't want to risk the possibility she would say no.
Of doubt, yeah.
Like, Marlene's like, she would want this. And while we can probably infer that she would probably agree to it if given the choice and what she says later, but
maybe not
trying to talk. They
would have killed homegirl anyway.
What I was going to say is maybe not, because if she had a conversation with Joel might have been like, please just give life a chance, right? Like, let's go and give it a year. If these people are still here and they really want to do this, live your life for a little bit and then we come back. Because I think Marlene knew that. She knew for a fact, like, they made it that far, like they had to have bonded. Because otherwise, she would have kept her with him when she woke up and then brought her under. But instead, they kept her under and made that conscious. Because it's even though she may have made a decision that I can't make this be for nothing, right? Mm-hmm. We know that she even said that to him in this episode. We can't make this for nothing. But you know, they didn't give that opportunity because they didn't want to waste any more time, which I get it. I mean, it's the fate of humanity. I get it. But they're still human beings. They have to make a conscious choice. And they didn't. It took that out of her hands. Marlene took that out of Joel's hands.
Do you think
Ellie's hands?
If, let's say hypothetically they did and Ellie wanted to go through with it
right then and there,
do you think Joel would honor that?
Nope.
So
he would have been like, girl, he would have been like, girl, you ain't Jesus, and then he would have still killed that whole hospital.
Yeah, I was just about to say,
killed that whole hospital.
Listen, Keaton, you said something that I really wanted to zero in on. You were just like, hey, first and foremost, I feel for this nigga. It's like, you know, it's like, even before we get to the morality thing, which is where we're gonna butt heads, at least for me.
Oh yeah,
I most certainly think that Joel is wrong. This is an understatement. But you really do feel for him. They do make it a bit, at least in the hospital, they made it a little bit. I need to go back and look at some game cutscenes, but they did make it. I think they made it a little bit more nuanced, where you're almost unsure what to think, but you're just kind of like, well, I mean, but he's getting Ellie, yeah, and then and then we get to the moment where she's coming to, and then it starts to creep in that oh boy, we're getting some Walter White vibes here. This is not good, because it's not handled in the traditional hero way, which I will die on this hill. Everything that Joel's doing, and particularly when he's lying, when she's waking up, coming to after.
Well, that's the thing. Why would he lie if he knew he was? Why would he lie to her if he knew that what he did was okay to Ellie?
Right.
Would,
and to do it,
that's the whole part of I'm sorry. That's a whole big part of their.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into
fracturing.
Yeah, I mean, Sam, you said it best about her saying we gotta finish all the way, but she also says, and then I'll go with you wherever you want,
wherever you want to go,
and all that stuff.
See,
and it's just like
they talk about that in the podcast. At least they confirmed some things that I guess were inferred. They're like, they don't know she's going to die. Like once they go there, which is kind of left up to audience interpretation to me. Cause like when I was watching that scene versus how it played out in the game, like it sounded like to me, because of the whole role reversal or whatever between the two that had been happening on the bridge, I thought the way she was acting, I thought she kind of was starting to feel like that she's being like that parent, we'll go get ice cream. Everything's going to be okay, to Joel now. Trying to like ease him into what's probably not going to be an okay time,
manipulating him.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess apparently in their eyes that wasn't the case. But that's how I initially read the scene. I was like, does she know this isn't going to go bad?
Beauty, man. Oh.
I was like, what's happening?
Neil did that intentionally, just like he put the situation. Because the truth of the matter is, like, both you guys make great points. I could infer that from the conversation she had. But then later on, when she comes to and she don't know what's going on, that leads me to believe she never actually got a choice. She never had a direct conversation. And Jorge, what's going on, dude?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yo, Jorge's just been over here in the shadows, just listening.
No, it's great. So I joined the first episode of this, and now I'm in the final episode, and I'm still distraught. I agree with Keaton on this one. Like, if that's your girl, like, you're taking down any hospital. You're doing whatever it takes. The part that throws me off is emotionally. So I've never played the game, just FYI. Like, this was my first like emotional damage experience with this game type of thing. What threw me off? Yeah, it's like what threw me off is this show made you care for Joel and made you like understand what he was doing. Like the whole hospital scene, like I was just like, yes, like
I was pulling for him. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like go 0 dark 30 on these guys. Like,
it was badass. It was badass. Yo. I mean,
but then it throws me off because in one episode you go from loving this guy to like, man, this dude's the man, to how he ended up, and you're just like, yo, what did he just do? Like, why did he just lie to her like that? And it, like, I still haven't rewatched the final episode because it's still like, it's like a mind, like it tore me up. Because for me, it was like this character, they built him up to be, almost foreshadowing like this father figure, like, protector, all this. And for him to just like make these choices for her at the last bit, like, it was mind-boggling. I'm all for. Yeah,
well, didn't they sprinkle hints of like how Joel is like bad and Joel's he's killed a lot of people. Everyone's kind of, I think it was his brother Tommy was kind of insinuating to Ellie like, be careful, or what is his wife? But they sprinkled in like Joel did a lot of terrible things during the apocalypse. After so I think it's been hinted, but I think it was done on purpose that we saw it at the very end. This is like Joel's true self. Like we
Wow,
saw
no,
a hint of it
when he was interrogating those guys with the knife.
Yes, dude.
Well,
Yes.
yeah. So I mean, whenever Ellie gets captured and or like where he has to save his his baby girl, that's when like he turns into John Wick and like nothing else. He just kind of becomes numb and just like he just doesn't care. And
I kind of touched on this in my thing. We saw like it almost kind of harkens back. We never see this perspective again outside of the first episode, but the way I likened it to is anytime like these moments kind of come up where he's kind of put in the same position that he was in with Sarah.
Yep, that's it.
And he had that moment where he blacks out and he's just wailing on that guy. Once that guy reminded him of that scene, that guy was just meat to him.
The framing. The framing, the positioning. It's even the way he cradles Ellie. I was just like, yo, 20 years ago, he was new to this. This was like he lost that fight. He ain't losing this one. And I just want to say this, that Sam, you say this about any parent would do that. I'm not a parent. And I would be like, listen, yes, we're not going to be able to cure everybody. We're not going to be able to stop this happening. But is it worth killing one innocent girl who is already born through violence? Is it worth taking away her chance at love, at seeing the rest of the world and whatnot? Even though, yes, there is bad in it.
It's not guaranteed.
But
they don't even know if it's going to work 100%. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
that's another element to it.
Look, find somebody else.
Would you take the risk? Yeah, would you take the risk of losing your daughter or a family member or your wife or somebody that you really love for a chance? I mean, sure. Like if
because Earth trash anyway.
So, I did want to say real quick is that I think one of the reasons why I so quickly disagree with this notion that like, this was just Joel being a badass. I'd love to do the same when I'm up to bat in real life. I think the issue here is that there's a trickery where it's like at first the action sequence is cathartic because you're like, yeah, we're getting Joel. I like that character, but then in the car ride and when they're walking back, all of a sudden you're like, oh no, Joe, wait, this is the wrong catharsis. What's happening? Yeah, this should just be a simple Terminator shoots everybody, and we're all like, woo, we munch our popcorn, and life goes on. But
like in the game, like where you're in the driver's seat, like I definitely felt like that's how it feels until you get to the car. But I love what they did in this though, because because the music choice, the sound design, and the way we're following through it, it was like, at least when I was watching it, and you're always supposed to be, which side of the fence am I on? And while I'm generally like, you mess with mine, I will Aaron Yeager your world. For sure. I understand both sides of the fence, and I could see that. And what I liked about this is this one definitely wanted to make you uncomfortable because of that whole stylistic choice, because he almost became a predator in that moment.
He's a Terminator. He is a predator. It's the police station in Terminator.
He was the Jason Voorhees of that hospital for a hot minute.
So hold on real quick, just so we can kind of find some levels to this, because this is going to go back and forth. I want to try to do it best we can. I want to say, Elise, thanks for coming.
Hey, Elise.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I just jumped from one stream to the other. So, craziness. But thanks for inviting me.
Nah, thank you for coming. We're about to kind of break into the moral compromises that are going on in the back half of this episode. But I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about the season in general, just because you just got in here. From the end of this, like the way the season ended and harking back to the whole season, what was your impressions of this? Like, was it satisfactory to the memory of the game? Was it everything you could have hoped it could be, or did it kind of fall a little short? Because a lot of times, like I said, that the season finale is sometimes a make or break. But for you, what was it?
I thought the last episode was great, especially for us who played the game, because it's basically the whole scene, like word by word. And I think, and this goes for the whole series actually, the things they added, I think it helped build up the characters. some of them we didn't even have a background, like Henry or Bill's background. We just know he's a crazy conspiracy theory guy. But I thought, at least for me, what I wanted to see on a TV show for the game that I've played so many times was what the game didn't show me. And I was so satisfied for having these amazing moments. So you have the best of two worlds. Some scenes are exactly like the game, and as like as important as the game, like the last one. Swear, yeah, I swear. Okay, we need these moments, and at the same time, we have whole new stories. But what I think worked on this last episode is you start the episode with a very kind, happy Joel who's already reconquered his fatherhood with Ellie. So you see, I think, the happiest and kindest Joel of the whole season. He's trying to cheer her up. And then you see this murderous, trigger happy guy like stabbing people whenever his ammo's out. So I think this contrast worked very well, even for people who didn't get the chance to play the game. I was really satisfied with this series, and I can't wait to see how they will figure out the big problem that season 2 will be.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that, at least. Sorry about my face, you guys.
Wow. We're different.
We're about to go into some dark territory here. So there's something I want to kind of paint a picture with this image. When you guys were talking about the look that Joel gives, it's almost like an instantaneous trigger. Like he becomes something completely different, or some people would say this is who he always is. But I always go back to the moment that happened to Sarah when he was saying, no, we're not infected. No, we're not infected. Please don't shoot us. Please leave us alone. And she dies in his arms, right? To the moment that, Ellie, a girl he didn't even know, it was a trigger, an immediate trigger. Like, this is a guy he's been doing, like, making back-end deals with. And he beat that man to death with his hand and didn't even think about it until the next day. It's like, oh, man, I got a hairline fracture in my hand. To now, like, all of a sudden, like, no, this is not going to happen. And so he systematically, he doesn't just kill everybody. Anybody that could possibly come back at him, he systematically takes them out. Even down to the surgeon that says, no, I'm not going to let you stop. He just had a surgeon's knife in his hand. He shoots him right in the head and just leaves the two nurses there. Thank God. But my question for all of you is, where do you label Joel? Because one thing that I thought was fascinating talking to Keaton yesterday, Keaton's perspective is that he's a sick man. He's dealing with an actual mental issue.
Psychotic father.
Mentally, he is not there. But I'm going to let you go into it because I want to go and break it down. I want to break it down because there are different facets to this. Some people say that, no, he knew what he was doing. He's making a selfish, conscientious choice because he wanted to keep the world alive for him through this daughter that he's kind of just accepted for him to be fine. Then some say, no, he's trying to protect the one person that he now cares about, is living for, and he's justified in what he's doing. And then there's another in the middle of that, to what Keaton is saying, is that he doesn't know what is up, right, left, or wrong, or right. So I'm curious y'all's perspective on how do you label, because it's really not just Joel, because Marlene could be fit into that same category.
Yep.
To be honest with you.
Yep.
But I kind of want us to try to go down that road. And Keaton, I'm gonna give you your flowers and let you go into it.
So, all right. Because like y'all said, since I've been up here, I never played this game. I don't even got a PlayStation. Well, yeah, I do. That's a lie. But I ain't never played this game. All right. Episode 1. This man, who's obviously very close to his daughter dies in his arms, straight up. After that, we cut forward, and the only thing we know is this man has been doing nothing but drinking for 20 years after his daughter died in his arms. He can go to therapy. He can get no anxiety meds. This man just been drinking and cold for 20 years, doing whatever, just alive. All of a sudden, there's a girl, same age as his daughter. And from what y'all tell me in the game, she even looks exactly like her, right? All of a sudden, this girl is just in his life. He's fighting it because he's like, I ain't getting close to anybody. And all of a sudden, something snaps, and he is right back to that very first night. And we see glimpses of it because even in that episode, in the when he beats that guy to death, something snaps, and suddenly he's right back there to that spot that night. This man for 20 years has been thinking to himself, what would I do different from that night that my daughter died? I think he's still living that same night. The way that he is protecting Ellie, the way that he's like, I'm going to do anything to keep her alive. Yeah, obviously what he did was not a good thing. But from my perspective, it's definitely a shade of gray. Because if someone's sick physically, we look at it and we say, this person is physically sick. He's on crutches. He has a bad ankle. When someone's mentally sick, though, it doesn't get treated the same way. But it should. This man is sick. He's not 100% up here because of something that happened to him 20 years ago, and it's been cooking for 20 years. I feel for him because he went through some insane trauma, and now we're seeing it boil over because he's suddenly connected with this girl again, and in his eyes, this is his daughter. Right before all of this went down, he's sitting there talking to her, and he's like, I can't even remember what he says to her, but basically he's like, you brought me back. Like, I'm in this for you at this point. Like, and it's at that moment, it's like he sees Ellie as his daughter, and he's not going to let anything happen to her. Is it healthy? Absolutely not. Because he hasn't gotten help for years after his daughter died in his arms. But in his head, that's his daughter. He's not going to let anything happen to her. He's her parent at this point. And he took that whole hospital down. Was it right to kill innocent people? Absolutely not. Is it right to always protect your child? Absolutely. It's a shade of gray. It's a shade of gray.
Okay, and all right, what we're gonna do is let everybody have an opportunity to speak on this, and then we'll talk after it. So because Jorge is about to leave because he got to go take care of his dog, I'm gonna let him go next.
Hey, awesome. Yeah, no. I think when you look at Joel, the character, I think Keenan, you kind of like hit everything correctly. Like he's almost like this psychotic dad who found his kid again in a weird way, and like Ellie's the one who kind of started putting him on the straight path per se, but he almost would turn back to like those dark times whenever Ellie needed anything. But I feel it was when he thought Ellie needed something. It wasn't necessarily when Ellie needed something. Like, did he need to torture like all the people that he did, like in that I think like 2 episodes ago, like with that little cult? Probably not. When he held them hostage, he could have just asked for one and gone his merry way. But I think he goes into like these almost like blackout rages to protect her at all costs. But I think my biggest issue is, at the end of the day, he never, he doesn't give her the choice. And even as a parent, you're gonna ask your child like, hey, like, what do you want to do? And if it's wrong, like, as long as it's not gonna like kill her, like, you kind of like guide them a little bit, and you almost put like I look at it almost like bowling, where you have like little bumper guards, where the ball's still gonna hit a pin, you're just gonna hit the sides of it a couple times. but I think he took it in a way too far when he just completely like lies to her at the end of it, where it's no longer, you know, him protecting her or anything like that. It's like he's making the choice so that he stays whole. And I think that's the part that, like, you know, I have a very hard time with, and a very difficult time processing, because throughout this, you know, like especially in this last episode, like he becomes like a hero and you feel for him and you're cheering for him to kill all these innocent people. But then in like those final, like, you know, little bit, you're just like, what did he just do? Like, he
Right.
didn't even like, he just straight up like pulled the rug out from under her, which I know in a sense it was to protect her, but it's also, I think, for him to feel validated. But I do wonder, and obviously, like, I haven't played the game, so I don't know what season 2 will entail. Like, because she's gonna find out, like, some way, some shape of way or form, she's gonna find out, and then what happens then? Like, or once she's in that village, like, and they find out that she is infected, is Joel gonna kill everyone there and his brother and all that stuff? Like, what's gonna happen? It's almost like bad news doesn't get better with time, and it's almost it's like the inevitable is gonna happen, but it's like at what cost is it gonna happen next time? But no, but Joel definitely he's on my list for sure of psychotic like weirdos who I was cheering for and then hated at the very last minute.
Oh man! Wait, I think he's gone. Oh wait, no.
I was about to say that was a clean exit,
Peace
sir.
out. Thanks, Jorge. Appreciate it.
All
Dude.
right, yeah. Take care,
He
guys.
dropped the mic.
Next on deck, Busy.
What's up?
What's your thought?
I forgot the question.
I feel like you don't want to answer it. So where do you classify Joel? Like, I mean, you can think of it like when you, because honestly, even when I played the game, you know, years back, I was kind of like, dang, I don't feel the same way about this man, you know?
Nah. Okay, yeah. The thing is, I don't like diving too deep into this because it's like based off of emotion. I want to understand what he did, but at the same time, it's like what are the repercussions of doing like this? This is a mass murder, man. Like this dude's a monster. Like I want to have him on my side for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, and he's not. The thing is, I think one of the reasons why I'm able to understand a little more is like, it's not like he's claiming to be a hero off of this. I'm pretty sure he knows what he was capable of. He knows, like you know, and Marlene as well. She knew who she was bringing, you know, close to her. Like she literally said, "You're one of the last people I kind of want to trust in this situation," you know, and I don't know. There's just a lot of things going in my head because obviously what he did is just so fucked up. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, the only thing that matters to him. There's no currency. It's only family. Family's the currency here. Like that's the only reason why he's keeping on. You know, and I don't know. I don't have an actual answer due to how crazy the whole situation is, but. I understand what he did, but I understand that it was definitely not the maybe the right choice. I don't know.
I really like how you said that family is the currency. I really that's cool.
Can you openly say, and I don't think you can. Do you think he's justified in his actions? When the moment was that the reason why I'm gonna preface it like this.
Like I said, I understand why he did what he did. I don't think I want to say he's justified.
Okay, the reason why I bring it up is because he didn't have an option to talk to her to figure out whether or not Ellie made the decision or not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just like either he lets her just die or he retaliates.
I think a main reason, I think like if he got to talk to Ellie, I feel like Ellie maybe could have convinced him that this is what she wanted. And things could have ended differently. But it's like this man has lived a life where he hasn't been able to get closure in any situation.
Right.
Like with his brother, I mean, we had the whole all that beef going on there. The only closure he got with him was him having to travel across the country to talk to him face to face. And other than that, he didn't get the closure with Sarah. He didn't get the closure with Tess. So it's just, I feel like he just was tired of not ending things on his terms, you know? And so him having to talk it out I feel like maybe things could have gone a different way, you know? But them not giving anyone a situation like Marlene to be the one to be like, okay, now this is how things are gonna go. This is how, like, that was just not the right move. Because I mean, considering that you should know that this man is literally a Terminator, you should be able to understand that you gotta play your cards close to your chest. Like, you gotta be careful with your next move. So at the end of the day, it's just everyone made a bad move. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
He's a murderer.
Yeah.
Elise, what do you think? I mean, you can also bring up Marlene, because one thing I brought up is because Marlene, she's seen Ellie since she's a baby. Like, her job is to protect her, and she's sacrificing this girl for the world and lying and trying to sway the direction that Joe has to take. And even with Joe's actions, it's kind of like both of them make compromising decisions. But I was curious your take on either one of them.
Yeah, I kind of get everyone's motives, actually. I mean, Fireflies, they wanted to get a cure for a very long time and to restructure the government and all that. So it has been their purpose for a long time. So I get that, even though Ellie is probably the kid that Marlene gets to care about the most because of the relationship she had with Anna, how long they were friends. I kind of understand, but that's the thing. I mean, everyone's wrong and right at some point. But one thing that I think it's nice that you guys mentioned before is about this trigger that Joel has about this repetition. So like Freud says about repetition and trauma, like trauma repeats itself because it's something that you didn't have closure, because it's something you didn't figure out, your mind didn't figure out, so you get to repeat a trauma. That's why people have nightmares with something that had a traumatic experience, and we get to see this in Joel. So at the same time, he has always been very protective. Like we see in episode 1, he doesn't want Tommy to stop for this family who's asking for help and they have a kid, and Tommy wants to help, Sarah wants to help, and he's like, no, fuck it, we have a kid too, let's go. So I think he's always been selfish, but in a way too overprotective way, not just like out of nowhere because of his kid. So his choice was both selfish because it was what was left of his humanity was this kid. She was his whole purpose. He was her whole life. And at the same time, he became a father again. So when you're a parent, I don't think you have other choice. I would probably do the same as him. Definitely not in such a badass way. But I don't think anyone would be able to act different if you have a child and this child will be sacrificed for a cause. Even though, okay, let's say they had the right methods to make a cure. Your life is your child, or sometimes, I don't know, like your husband, your wife, or family. So I understand his choice. I would probably do the same if I was in his shoes. But at the same time, the whole lying thing, I think it's the only way he could make sure Ellie wouldn't go after the Fireflies to make sure she was a cure was to completely tear her dreams and her whole purpose of being the cure apart.
Right.
So, yeah. So like, oh, there's more like you, more immune people. So she wouldn't feel special anymore. And that breaks her. And Bella's such a great actor. And you see it in her eyes. And he says, yeah, they don't want to look for a cure anymore. So he broke part of her sense of purpose because he couldn't lose his daughter again. So I think he did something really wrong, especially on the whole killing this faction and this innocent people part. But I think it was the only way for him to have his daughter back and to kind of have a way to stop this repeating trauma. He could move. His life could go back, like what Tommy said. Your life stopped. His watch could go back to actually work now that he has his purpose. But for this, it means taking the whole purpose of a little girl and killing a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, it's kind of like the ends justify the means. Yeah. This is gonna be interesting. Jarrell, let you go in, man.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this one.
Okay, and
I'm sorry. I literally just laughed at my own profile picture. By the way, this is my profile picture on Discord, and it just fucking makes me laugh so hard. But anyway, and forgive me. What was? God, I'm going busy over here. What was the original question? Shit.
So the question was, where do you categorize Joel? Do you categorize him as just an evil, malicious person that was just selfish? You categorize him as a person that's sick, is dealing with trauma that he doesn't really know where to internalize what's left or right or wrong or bad? Or do you kind of take it as that, he's trying to do the right thing by a person he's trying to protect, but he went about it in a very terrible way? Where do you classify him? Because again, that's why I bring up like Marlene into this, because it's no different. Like, I understand why Marlene is doing what she's doing, but she didn't have to take the choice out of Joel and Ellie's plate, because then it's a chain reaction that happened because of it. And then she tried to beg for her life after the fact, like, please don't kill me. Like, he's like, yeah, but you follow me. Like, you already made a decision that you're willing to kill her. Why should I let you live? Kind of thing. And so where do you categorize either one of them if you want to go that route?
So with Joel, I'm definitely gonna focus on Joel. So with him, I feel like a lot of people, maybe even myself included, we missed a lot in episode 8 when he was interrogating those guys with that knife. Because for me, I think that's not only real Joel on the inside, but I think that's Joel, outside of happy-go-lucky, Bella Ramsey thing, Ellie thing, like, and he had been in that mode, this demon mode, like a guts mode, berserk for like a long time. You know what I mean? After Sarah, it's like God knows what all the atrocities he's committed that we aren't even aware of. Even for us gamers, his past is super veiled to us. But we do know that he's a super dark person, and I'm convinced that he's something of like a sadistic, because in that, when he was interrogating those guys with a knife, there was a moment that I noticed after a few rewatches, because something kept drawing me back to that scene, because it's very different from the game, but similar. There's a moment where I'm convinced that he like smirks or he smiles while he's torturing these two guys. And that took me aback, because I don't know if I ever got something like that from the game, not off top of my head. And that freaked me out, what that could have implied. Because, like, why would you do that, Neil? You know what I mean? Every choice is very conscious. And I was like, oh, man. It would be interesting if he's more than, like, psychotic, what Jorge is saying. But he really is, like, if not so, near evil. Kind of like Walter White. A lot of people have debates about, like, whether Walter White is evil or not. I think he's very much like a Walter White. Or worse. Or really worse, actually. For sure. And but he just so happens to be handsome. He just so happens to be likable, relatable, and you just so happen to agree with him for a moment where he's going crazy after running through like 100 niggas in the hospital. But no, I there was a moment where I told someone, I was like, damn, his line delivery was so cold, he almost comes across like a serial killer. If he had gotten arrested after that hospital murder spree, and somebody was questioning him, he would come across like a serial killer. I think he's that far out there, but Neil has found a way for us to love him.
Can I ask you a question, Jarrell?
Yeah.
I know you said you kind of categorize him with Walter White. Can you elaborate on it? Because like whenever I look at Walter White, like comparing him with Joel here, I'm looking at motive. Sure. And even Walter, like at the end of Breaking Bad, he admitted, I wasn't doing that for my family. I was just loving it. Right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm ready to put Joel in that category yet, where he's like, I'm just killing because I love it. I think he's still on the family side of that.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, that's why I was going to ask what you meant when you categorize them with Walter
It's hard because, like, I mean, Tommy has also, quietly alluded to like, hey man, some of the stuff we got into back in the day, like I was not fully on board like what you were, and some of the things we did, bro. Shit, even Tess seems to imply that like they did some really shady, really dark things in the past. It's not something that you see reflected in like a Superman or Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely some war crimes there. It looks like.
Yeah, and his behavior during these really dark, like the hospital scene or when he's interrogating those people, it definitely leads me to think like, oh boy, this is a little bit more worse than say like Robin Hood or something. He's significantly darker than that. I think he's probably darker than Walter White if we were to fully know his past, which curiously we can't know.
But do you think premeditation goes along with it? Because Joel, especially at the hospital, he's not premeditating anything. But Walter White, he kills a whole bunch of people, and he planned every single one of those deaths.
This is true. Yeah. But I think when you first enter Breaking Bad season 1, and then you think about where you are with them emotionally and morally in the, like, I don't know, let's say the last 10 minutes of the show, quite the shift. You know what I mean? Because he was with them. He was with them for a little bit, at least. You know what I'm saying? We all were with Walter for a little bit. And then, you skip ahead and you're just like, oh, Jesus Christ, Walter.
Yeah. The moment he killed Gabe, that was when it was like,
Yeah.
Right. But we was rocking with him for a while, though.
Oh, yeah.
That was that guy.
Wait, I want to be muted.
I can't hear you.
That was me.
Let's
examine that comment a little bit further, though. So when we meet Joel, he's just your lazy old.
Oh yeah, that part.
Fucking around. your old good old dad who doesn't give a crap about anything. Like he's lazy, all this stuff. We jump 20 years. That's Walter in a year and a half.
Yes, exactly.
No, listen.
Look at the world that Joel had to just protect his brother in.
Yeah,
that's like his own brother.
People rioting.
His own brother was like,
well, yeah,
they savage. Bro.
They are wildly different people. Like again, like
that's
you can look at Tommy,
Olympics.
And he's like the prototypical protagonist. He's like he in most stories would probably be your hero, is like your Tommy character. But we're following Joel here, who is out there and like everything's gone. His daughter's dead. The people that's supposed to protect them took that from him. People are looting. People are trying to just survive. And he's just like, all I have left is my brother. So from Tommy's perspective, he's obviously going to be like, about some stuff, probably. Joel is one of those people, and I'm sure we all know somebody like this, is like their inner circle is their bubble. If you come into that without permission, you're not going to have a good time. And Joel's kind of always been that kind of person, but there's this whole like evolution of protection that we don't really see.
But what do you think when he, because I was trying to freeze frame it and I couldn't quite grab it, but I do think he like smirks or smiles when he was interrogating those guys, and that coldness from him in the last few minutes of the show. What do you think that is? What do you think that's coming from then?
Well, I've seen that scene a few times, but I don't remember any moment where I thought he was smirking. Just personally,
I don't.
But that
I want to rewatch and see if I see.
Yeah, rewatch and get back to me.
So I think he does. Yeah. Well,
I've watched the scene, Jerome. I know what you're talking about, but I think he may have gotten something out of that, like a little bit of pleasure out of like torturing those guys.
That's what I'm saying.
But the whole purpose is because they took.
Oh no, I get it.
It's not like, oh wow, I got these guys, I just want to torture them just for the sake of it. Like
he's bored,
no, that's true.
You're gonna feel every single thing that I'm doing, and I still might not let you live because until I get her, you're gonna feel this. Like
law-abiding citizen.
That's right.
See, that goes back to what I was saying.
That's exactly what I was thinking
about that bubble.
Yeah. Like that's he's literally the equal measure that he's at in his mind, right. And it's not good. That's why I've been teeter-topping. For me, I've always looked at Joe as a bad person. Like I've always looked at it like when I played the game, I was like, I can't believe that he did this. Like I was like, my man's, I can't get behind what you did. And now I'm a parent, right? And this is like what? Shoot, came out 2013, 10 years later. Like I'm looking at this and watching it unfold on the show. I've watched the finale like 3 times now. And I'm kind of like,
Huh.
Man, maybe
Exactly.
maybe this man after 20 years is like legit not there. Like he really doesn't, like, he's trying to find validation for his actions with her, just having a relationship with her, and he's willing to do anything and everything, burn anything and everyone for that. It's not as though like he's like, oh, I need to kill these people just because I feel like the need to do it. It's like, no, I need to hold on to this to maintain what I have for my life, because I don't have anything else at this point. Because even like the relationship with even the relationship with Tommy is a strain, because Tommy is now a dad, and like Tommy was willing to go take Ellie, but his wife wasn't behind that, and Joel knew that. You're like, you don't cross a man and his wife, you know. And so like his every thread of relationship was ripped away from him that we've seen go through. That's one of the things I love about the season as opposed to games, because I'm looking like every single thread of relationship that this man had was ripped away while developing simultaneously a relationship with this girl. And so it's just fascinating to watch that. But for me, like I've always looked at Joe as a bad person, but now it's kind of like he's all like he's not all the way there. But what he conscientiously did with Ellie in making the decision to, in his mind, protect her, he was really just trying to protect himself. But that's because he needed that. Like that's a selfish desire that he needed. But in his mind, he felt like, oh, this is the right thing to do, you know, and that's wrong. That's a wire missed. But I wanted to give D Pity an opportunity because he kind of hasn't had a chance to talk on this. Where are you at with Joel, or just kind of like the way that Neil wrote this, like, is to have conversations like we're having right now. What is right? What is justified? So where are you at with it, man?
Yeah. I was actually you said the word that I was thinking. Since I played the game and after watching the show, it's selfish. I don't think, like, I'm not like pro Joel choice or team Joel. I was kind of like, yeah, the same thing when I was playing the game, watching the show. I was like, this guy's kind of an asshole. He's like killing a bunch of people. Like, I understand. I'm a father too, and I understand. I get it, but yeah, I think there's probably better ways to do the things that he was trying to accomplish. But I mean, it all stems from the moment he lost his daughter. I don't think he enjoys killing, or I don't think he gets off of it, or I don't think it's like this like this kink that he has or anything. I just think the soldier who killed his daughter, they had no choice. And I think during the interrogation scene, I think, like, no matter how much they pleaded, like, because him and his daughter pleaded, and no matter what, like, the soldier didn't want to kill them, but he got the orders too, and they had no choice, and he lost his daughter, even if they weren't they weren't infected. And in the Raiders case, or the that town, and what was it, episode 8, like the interrogation scene, yeah, he didn't have to kill them, but he did anyways. And I think it's because he was treated the same way. And it's kind of like they no mercy. It's everyone just, if you're not on my side, if you have any chance of possibly causing me and my daughter harm, you're gone. And so I think it's his way to.
That makes sense. I'm never going to take that chance again.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't want to take that chance ever again. And so because they didn't give him and his daughter a chance, now he's, it's kind of flipped. Like, he doesn't want to give anyone a chance to take this away from him. And so the moment that he came to the choice, like, oh, Ellie's death could potentially save the world, or bring back, bring a cure to everybody, he doesn't care. He just wants to protect the one thing that he lost. No mercy. He's just him and her. And yeah, I always thought of him as a bad guy. But even while he is a bad person, he's like kind of a villain figure. If I was in his shoes, I would probably do the same thing. And I'm also an anime fan, and people don't like that I'm like also pro Eren. I don't know if you guys watch Attack on Titan at all. But
hey,
if I was also,
be careful with
yeah, if I was also in his shoes to
I gotta
protect
catch
my
up,
people.
though. I gotta catch up.
Okay. Well, you know, the point is
Go ahead and
he's
spoil it. I want to know.
Okay, so it's either he protects his people or he destroys he murders everybody else in the world, right? And so I kind of
Ian, take
put
your
myself
headphones
in
off.
I'm sorry. Like I put myself in a hypothetical, right? If like for whatever reason it's like me and my family in my house and like my entire neighborhood wants to burn my house down, I'm gonna kill everyone to protect them, right? And so it's the same thing with Joel, right? It's not like he's right? But again, that's all perspective, right? If I was in his shoes and that was my son at the table and he didn't have a choice and we're just kind of like they knock us out, I wake up and all of a sudden I'm about to lose my son for something that has a chance. It's not even 100%. There's a chance to possibly save other people, right? I'd probably go and murder everyone the same way he did if I had that skill set, which I don't. But if I could, I'd probably do the same thing. The lying part, I probably wouldn't do that, but that kind of paints a picture. Like even if you understand where he's coming from, like I'm assuming most parents are like, yeah, I would have done the same thing. But that last moment, I think a bunch of you guys also disagree with his choice to lie to her. But I think in his eyes, it's just, he's doing whatever it takes to protect her, even if it's protecting her against herself. Like he's gonna like go past even that line. Like he's protecting her from everyone else that he possibly could physically, and now it's like, no, I would go this far to even protect Ellie from Ellie. Like everything I said was true. That's a lie, but everything I said, believe me, because I don't want you going out there potentially hurting yourself, running away or whatever, because to him, like she's all he has. Like Tommy has his own life. He lost Tess, and Sarah, etc. So yeah, I think he's a bad guy who made very bad decisions, but I sympathize with him, and I would probably do the same thing.
There was one other thing too. When we started doing this podcast, we were talking about how you can't trust anyone in this world, right? We set that up from the jump. Joel gets knocked out, wakes up, somebody's like, oh, it's a doctor. He said he gonna fix the world, and he got to kill your daughter. He gonna save the world in this hospital with holes in the wall and broken glass in the windows. In
Yeah,
his
Joseph, like
that. The hospital clean. The hospital was really clean, considering how the hospital.
It was cleaner than most. But in this world, you can't trust it and it's like, okay, the last episode we had a preacher and he seemed like he was good too. And so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm a doctor, I'm gonna save the world. We call it the Fireflies. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you the Warriors now, right? Like, it's one of those things where from Joel's perspective,
we bomb buildings and kill innocents ourselves. Let's save the world.
Right. From Joel's perspective, he's like, y'all ain't nothing but war criminals. Like, what? Like, it's one of those things. It's like, all right, you're saying you're gonna kill my daughter and possibly save the world after you just hit me in the head and gave me a concussion, and I just woke up.
I mean, he probably would have been way meaner. You know what I'm saying? If he seen a nigga on the perimeter, Joel's not gonna.
And they kept shoving him. They kept pointing guns. They're like, "Get the fuck out of here!" It's like
right. Yeah. Thanks for your daughter. We gonna.
I don't know. It seems like excessive violence to me.
What? You ain't even gonna give me no food. You can't give me a McRib after. Like you just gonna walk him out tell them to kick rocks. Like, no, I'm capping y'all and I'm getting my daughter back because I don't know y'all like that. I don't know you like that.
I don't know y'all like that. I'm gonna murder. I'm gonna fucking sweep.
I don't know y'all like that. You took my daughter. You said you're about to save the world that's been broke for 20 years. You're gonna save the world that's been broke for 20 years. During COVID, I didn't know if we were gonna come back from that. That was like 4 months. I was like,
hey, we still might not have.
Right, we're still in it. They're gonna say, hey, your daughter, out of everybody left on this planet, we're gonna kill her to save the world. Yes, we're terrorists as well, but just trust us. Now get out.
Trust me, bro.
Yeah,
right.
I think it goes back to
absolutely
the biggest thing. If she would have given him an opportunity to talk.
Hey guys, I have to head out. Sorry to interrupt, but thanks for chatting, guys. I gotta go make dinner.
Yep.
All right, bro. Thanks for coming. Take care, DPD.
Hater.
Yeah, have fun.
Like, you talking about you a doctor? I don't see no Neosporin. I don't see no Band-Aids. Ain't nobody at the desk saying hello. Ain't nobody greeting. The doors don't open by themselves. Like,
where's the gift shop?
Right. You're telling me you're going to save the world when we went to a hospital last week that y'all just left and monkeys done took over it. But you're going to be the one to save the world.
Nah, I would at least been like, I would have been like,
listen, Mojo Jojo up in your shit. Like, where you just
no, I would have listen, you can take her blood. You can take her urine. Listen, I'll have her piss in the bottle for you, but my nigga, you ain't taking her life, my nigga. Okay,
right?
You can email me months later if it hasn't worked, and we can have a discussion. But
hey, can we get some more blood? Maybe we can get some more blood. But I don't even know you.
There's one more point. The hospital bills on this. I mean, where they're going to be sending the bills? Because there's no universal health care. Can you imagine? This guy will be broke. Like, they just put him on the... How much is that? I mean, like, at least 4,000 or 5,000.
Joel's going to have to start cooking meth, and then he will be Walter White.
Yeah, exactly. Now we got it.
This man out here saying he a doctor, he going to save the world. He could be Alex Jones. He could be anybody. Yeah, I'm a doctor. I got this.
In their defense, though, had we been following them up until that point, we would have been like, oh yeah, like what they're doing is just totally fine, just standard procedure. Oh my God, Joel!
But so to be fair, I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this. Every time that they've looked where the fireflies are, there's just been dead bodies. Either the fireflies have been on the ground dead, or they've been raided, or there's bullets everywhere. Every single time we haven't even seen the fireflies because they've been either shot at, blown up, they've blown somebody else up, or they've two-timed each other and shot at each other. So to be fair, from what we're looking at, just the show, I mean, the fireflies does not look.
They might be like QAnon.
Together.
They stormed the Capitol January 6th. We don't know nothing about the fireflies. Like,
hold on, we're not doing. But no, so Jarrell, I have a real question for you.
Yeah.
So you're not down for them killing Ellie. You're not, in your mind, if you were Joel, you wouldn't let that happen. And it's a really triggering question I'm about to ask you.
Sure.
How would you win about all this? Because it sounds like you wouldn't have lied to Ellie at the end.
No, absolutely not.
But from the moment that they have guns pointed at your back and you're in the hospital, you don't know exactly where she's at. You kind of looked to the sign slowly. You're like, oh, okay.
No, my nigga. First off, there's some violence happening. All right. I'm not taking the same route that Joe did, but best believe I'm gonna be like, oh, bet I'm gonna do some John Wick move. I'm busting out homie's teeth. Homie's over here's got his fucking arm dislocated. He's just laying asleep on the fucking stairs real quick. You know what I mean? So, I got him point at niggas. I'm shouting. You could have done things differently, Joe. That's what makes it sort of a paradox.
So I think this goes back to Omni One's question and diagnosis of what Joel's perspective is. He's not going to leave a chance for something to happen.
That's true.
Ever, right?
Joel's very different from us.
So it's
this
like
is a human being. We watched John Wick kill 77 people over his dog.
No, there's definitely
this is a human.
No, I think this is a subversion of that. Curiously, I don't even know if John Wick even existed when the first game came out, but this is definitely like a weird subversion on that kind of violence, because ordinarily speaking, that kind of violence doesn't warrant this many moral paradoxes or like consequences, you know.
Okay.
It's so hard not to talk about the second game, Jesus. But yeah, it's rare to see decisions like this have like genuine consequences where you're like, oh.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if you know for a fact, like if a person that you busted in the teeth, they still might have a sidearm and they're gonna shoot at you on the way out. Are you gonna let them stay down?
That's another paradox.
That's where his mindset went.
Also, but that's another paradox because clearly Joel is extremely skilled. Extremely skilled. Yeah. That's another paradox for me when people are like, well, this was the only way he had. It's like, are you sure? I mean, the nigga clearly looks like he could just mind sweep 100 niggas. Like, man, look, he barely needs to apply pressure is what I'm trying to tell you.
Facts. Barely. Like from that first episode when they showed he was like a Gulf War veteran, I was like, by the end of this last episode, I'm like, did he take it? Did he do it by himself? Like, good Lord. Like, this man is like.
Well, Tommy's the
that's Tommy.
Like,
yeah, Tom is.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They don't really expound on whether or not.
Clearly, he had to have been. He clearly had to have been. He clearly
Joel
had
learned
to have
it
been
the hard way.
He clearly had to have been involved in some war crimes. I hate to keep coming back to this knife interrogation, but somebody had mentioned premeditation before. To me, it's like he's been here before. When he had shot Marlene at the end, he's been here before. You can tell there's a comfortability there. Like he's done this kind of thing many times. We're having this long of a discussion about just this one event at a hospital. Like this nigga's got like 80 hospitals in him from the past. You know what I mean? Like
he could, but Omni one. What were you gonna bring up?
The thing about that too is if you're like we want to talk about like he could have taken them down in a less lethal way or a less brutal way.
Sure.
The thing is, if Ellie is as important as Ellie is, any survivors will continue to try to find her.
But people are always.
They will never be safe.
You are never safe. You are never safe. You are never safe.
There's difference between happening upon somebody and somebody actively trying to find you.
Bro, you kill a whole building of niggas. So people are after you, dog, way more than before, period.
Yeah, and also they were operating her. He had no time to be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Like they were like when he got to the point, they were just ready to start like doing the procedure. So it's just
hard.
He could have been saying, "I'm a doctor." He was just any later. Her skull would have been open.
No, listen, even I would have found a way to like listen. Again, you take her blood or something, but ain't nobody just taking her life, my nigga. That's not happening. Right. But execution is a thing. You know what I mean?
No pun intended.
I went to execute.
But yeah, so one last thing I wanted to kind of bring up because I personally feel like this is true. Like, you know, Ellie initially when we first see her, she kind of starts looking up the tests. She's like, "Oh wow, I'm really looking up the test," and then test gets pulled from her. She starts kind of, you know, she interacts with Sam and Henry. She really gets drawn to Sam, and he gets pulled away from her. And it's like she only has Joel, and she's learning everything from Joel, much like a father would to a daughter. So there's things that she's learning from him, right? But we know what kind of person Joel is. We know what Joel has inside him. We've seen what Joel's willing to do. And, you know, being a parent, like the things that you're trying to hide, the things that you are, like a lot of times you got to be real careful that those don't imprint onto your kid. And so what does this do for Ellie subconsciously knowing, you know, later on, you know, his actions and how he lied to her and what he did, you know, all the things he's learning from him. So it's kind of like, what is it making? What is the generational aspect of this? Like, what are the implications of him being with her? Because we know what it does for him. You know, we know the benefit it is for him, but what does it do to her? Right.
Marlene already said it.
What say that? What was that?
Marlene, I think she already said it. I can't quote it verbatim, but when they were in the what was that? It was some kind of like parking garage, right?
Garage.
Right. Yeah. There's a. I'm curious if anyone remembers exactly what I'm talking about, but there's a little verb of dialogue where I think she kind of answers that.
She says that like she would want to save everybody. She want to be, you know, help everybody out, but it's like But you didn't travel with her, okay? You put her in fucking Fedra because you wanted to distance yourself. You kept her safe.
She was saying like, hey, you may have like, okay, you got your baby. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember, but you might have got your baby girl back, but now you've left her in a world where she may just literally tomorrow just succumb to the violence out there because of your actions.
Right.
But like, but like the thing is that, so I watched that last scene and I took something differently away from it. Because episode one of the last things we see is we see Joel, he's holding his daughter, and he's hoping this soldier has it all together. Right? He's hoping, like, look, man, we're just trying to get by. He's holding Ellie the exact same way in this hospital, walking out. And my man was Han Solo with it. He's like, I'm shooting first this time. Right? Like, he's like, nope, I ain't even taking no chances, because even while, like, she had the gun. She's like, we can think about this. It's not too late. And he's like, oh, no, it's too late. It's been too late. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
it was too late yesterday.
Right. And I can't blame him, because honestly, I would feel the same if somebody was like, hey, if you let us kill her, we can save the world. I'm like, save the world? Have you seen Boston?
Exactly.
Like, you gonna save that? Like, we traveled across the world. It's washed. Like, we know.
Dude, what? There's only like how many? There's only what, a handful, if even that, active QZs anymore.
Right.
Sure.
And before the apocalypse, Earth was already mid. Now you're telling me now we're gonna bring it back. That's like somebody being like, hey man, look, give me $1,000. I'm gonna bring back Sears. Sears gonna be the biggest.
But for God's sake, Keaton,
it's gonna be lit.
Keaton, you know how many times the world's been through catastrophe, and like we were at the brain and like we barely came back. You know what I'm saying?
But so to be fair, this world is broken. This is done. Like, it's
let it cook. Let it cook. Like, I'm.
Come on, Keaton.
And look at Jackson.
Give it back to the giraffes.
Exactly. Look at Jackson. They managed to
shout out to that giraffe.
Jackson managed to still keep going without this possible cure. So even take that out of the scenario. It's like Jackson has been able to do it other than what Sam and his resort just had to do. Keaton, thank God, because I'm trying to like let people say everything before I go blah, that like, yo. And people have been critiquing the show, which I understand about, like, there's no infected. Where's the clickers at? And I think they deliberately said, okay, we're not going to show you the clickers, but we're showing you the rest of the world. And I've been waiting. I've been holding his hand like to see, do you still feel like, is this world worth saving? After David, after the amount of people that after Kathleen, and it's all a perspective. It's a dilemma. It's a effing dilemma that I don't know if I was gonna be able to say it or not, but like, I think Joel is justified. But even me in saying that and him going along with it, they made it a point to show you that he's doing all this, and when he's holding her in the elevator, he knows, like, damn, I just did this.
Yeah.
But I'm still going all the way. When he's in the car, before she wakes up, he's looking and he goes this. He closes his eyes and he goes like this because he knows, he's like, I'm not no hero. I'm damned. But if me being damned gives her a second chance beyond David and beyond all her being so put on a pedestal, then fine. I can live with that. Mm-hmm. So I love that he's not lighting up a cigar. He's not saying I did it and whatnot. He's saying that, like, you know what? If he had another way, they would help the rest of the world. But killing a child, much less one that he's connected with, I don't think that's a price worth paying. And I love that with Marlene, and I want to give Merle Dandridge so much props because I understand where she's coming from. And part of me would want to ask her one day, do you think Marlene kind of appreciates someone would go to this much depth to protect Ellie? Because she can't no more. She's a leader. She has to go all the way, even though she is sort of betraying what she promised her best friend. And I love that. Like, it's I mean, yes, he could have put people to sleep and he's killing all these people and whatnot, but let's also recall that these people were shooting at him, shoving him, loading guns, and they were willing to die for this cause. I'm like, all right.
Hey, listen, if you woke up to all this after just reading some puns and you got flashbanged out of nowhere for no reason.
Right.
We were just having a good old time.
I saw a giraffe today. I was at the zoo. I was chilling. I was reading a pun. See, exactly.
And you have to come in here and punish me?
Cut it.
You're out of zero.
Exactly. Yeah, it's again, and I've seen so much people call him the villain one. I think and I don't even want to fully say he's a good person.
It's not that simple.
Yes, exactly. I think he there's in him a good man that's willing to do bad things. But even then, and I remember hearing people comparing him to like he's almost like David. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Whoa.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Ronan, who are these people? Every week you talk about some wilding fans of this, and I'm like, where are these people at?
Troy Baker once did say something similar to those words. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but I'm like, whenever I hear that, I'm like, David is willing to eat people, and was almost willing to rape.
Yeah,
Ellie.
I was just gonna say, dude.
He wasn't almost willing.
Yeah, he was about to.
No,
my nigga.
He was gonna.
But exactly my point. I'm like, and that's what I find fascinating that the show has done leading up to this finale. It's like, are we still willing to do this after all we've seen? Is this the And I maybe it's me because these past few years have really shown a lot of humanity in the world that like it's also putting me that be like, you know what?
Yes, King. Yes, they did. Watch the show. You should definitely watch the show.
But no, listen. I listen. Listen. Joe might be a bad guy. He's done some scary shit. But no, that's still my nigga though. What you mean? I love Joe.
No, and I get it. And again, that's all.
Yeah, he's nothing like David. That's ridiculous. David is like a fucking perverted.
I would call
David need to be dead.
He's a creep.
He exactly where he need to be.
He admitted to being like, I used the apocalypse to put myself on a pedestal in a way that I wasn't in life before.
Yeah. And weren't they eating niggas? So
yeah, absolutely.
And he was like, "You're not going to be my child bride. I guess I'm going to eat you then."
Right.
And then the moment where like had she not broken his fingers, I'm like, what's that? Like a bizarre, like. Flirtatious / like get the fuck out of here, bro. Like dude's sick, like at least with Joel, again, like he's like this ruggedly handsome dude, he's like relatable, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this dude's got a badass, you know what I'm saying? Like there's like levels, it's like it's not black and white, it's definitely there's a lot of nuance for sure.
And
I would classify him because I didn't get to do that bit. I think he is like the prime example of like, let's say like chaotic neutral, because he's only out for him and his, but he will do anything for him and his.
Yeah.
So he's capable of great good, but if you cross him, he's capable of great evil. But it's all based around his sphere, kind of coming back to what I mentioned before, his bubble, his inner circle, what is his in a way. And you could call that selfish, or you could call that parental in a lot of ways, because he took ownership over Tommy even once, because they talked about that too. Like whenever they went off, he was always overlooking Tommy. He was always judging who Tommy's friends were.
Yep.
Like even when they were in Jackson, like he immediately treated Maria as the other until he realized they were married, and he can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this is can we have a family discussion? And then they gave him that side eye and was like, well, about that.
Right.
So he's a very particular kind of character. And I would never call him evil, but I think anybody is capable of both. And he's a prime good example of that, and how those qualities can make you feel. Because I think we're all capable of that if we're pushed to a brink. And that's what makes it uncomfortable to talk about it. Because then how do you justify that to somebody else who's on the other fence?
On the end,
and I think I brought that up in one of the. I think I brought that up for that.
I can't wait for season.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that in one of the episodes. Like every time you see Joel kill somebody, it's like, well, that was somebody's daddy. Well, that was somebody's best friend. But like we do that in movies all the time. We will watch the Expendables right now and watch them gun down dozens of people and like, hell yeah, and the Guns N' Roses playing and shit, and we're just like loving it. And that was like somebody's best friend. That was somebody's father. Like they got a dog at home that ain't ate today, and we just like, get him, Terry Crews, knock him down, kill him, right? But that's just how it goes. But this was like one of the first times they make you like take a look at it. Like even in that episode with David, it was like, hey, that girl's just like, I want them to kill her because that was my dad that they just killed. Like
Rambo 4.
I haven't seen a single one of those. That's the next thing for me.
Oh my god, Rambo 4 bangs, bro. Shit, my boy Sly.
Did anybody find? I don't know if you guys know stuff where when Anna tells Marlene find someone to look after her and bring her up, they play a song. They play a track. I believe it's Unbroken. And then once Joel takes out Marlene, they play the exact same song. And I thought that, like, look at that poetry that like it took 20 years or about 14, 15 years for Anna to find someone that she will never meet.
Let's go back to what I said about the knife transferring to Joel. Marlene passed that up and Joel took that role, fulfilling what Anna wanted. In the end.
And
that's the other thing too.
Now Marlene in heaven, and she's just like, I asked you for one thing.
So, hey, this goes back to a conversation that me and Ronan had. If Anna was in Joel's position,
dude,
what would Anna have done?
Stab the shit out of everyone.
Every single
well, they both.
Is there another hospital next door? Because I'm gonna stab them too.
Yeah.
Is there a Wendy's across the street? I'm gonna clean that one out too, just to make sure.
Anna lied to Marlene.
It's for the good of the
oh yeah, that you made a good point.
Anna lied to Marlene about Ellie health. The way again different Joel lies to Ellie. Like and it's that's what's so. Oh, I love this fucking show.
Both it's to protect Ellie, yeah. Both
George Lucas, this is poetry. This is how it rhymes.
For all she knew in that moment, she was handing an affected baby to Marlene, but she was like, I don't care as long as there's the possibility she lives after this.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because she even lied. She straight up lied. She said, "Oh, I got bit afterwards," and it's like.
And Ami, I think you probably heard it as well in the podcast that like Anna deliberately says find someone. She doesn't, and part of it, she doesn't put that burden, if you will, on Marlene, and maybe Marlene doesn't have that maternal side of it. She still, and I'm gonna give Marlene her rights that like she keeps Ellie safe from a distance. She puts her in Fredra. She put I get exactly the same perspective. She distanced herself, and that's why
that's probably the only reason she wasn't shot on sight too. Whenever they saw the first bite,
exactly.
Yeah,
but then she was like, when she didn't turn, she's just like, shit.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. Like you can also like because the whole thing is, different levels or tiers or types of love and stuff like that is like once you put that into you draw the comparisons of how Anna and Joel are the same. They're both parents, but Marlene's not. So she's not thinking, her brain's not wired the way theirs is. So she's trying to think about it from a different standpoint. I just like that there's little nuances in the way they've built out these characters.
It's fascinating because I always hear that quote from Star Trek: "The need of the many outweighs the need of the few, or the one." And I always go back and forth with that. I always say that like there's moments where I'm like I would be willing to pay that price, but I don't know if a kid is worth doing that. I don't know if I don't know. It varies so much, but Joel killed a lot of people. He knows that. I think he was justified, and I know that he's willing to damn himself even more if it means that Ellie gets another shot. And I love that what Bella and Pedro do is that they shifted so much in their roles throughout this episode that even after the fact, that her keeping her distance and still trying to hear him out, she does what he does, which he finally tells her about Riley. And I just love the juxtaposition. Like, okay, you told me another vulnerable moment in your life, to ease me. This is me telling you a vulnerable moment in my life to see how clean you would come with me. And yeah, I just, oh man, it's so fucking good.
Yeah, we've almost, man, I think the episode was only 45 minutes. We've gone double that. So we're gonna go and close out. I'm gonna give everybody an opportunity to kind of leave their final thoughts and then plug their respective channels. Busy, because I hadn't heard from you in a minute. I'll let you give your closing remarks, rating for the episode, rating for the season, and
so yeah, I don't know about a rating. I'd say a 9.5, 9. I don't know out of 10. Definitely, it was amazing. I mean, the entire show has been fantastic, and as a fan, this is exactly what I want to see when we get video game adaptations. This is exactly the type of content that I want, and I feel like my expectations were up here and they exceeded it. So I mean, I am happy with what we got. You can find me at Busy Braun, everywhere, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks, dude. Omni One, final thoughts, rating on the episode, the season, and where can everybody find you?
Well, for the season, I mentioned this earlier. I think I'd give it like a 9.5, despite some of my nitpicks. For the finale itself, I think it was a 10 out of 10. I think it knocked it out of the park in every way it needed to. I loved it. I loved every second of the show. There was a couple of times where I was just like, I like this moment in the game a little bit better. But that's, as far as adaptations go, it excelled beyond and above like anything I could have expected out of this, to be honest, in the scale and scope that it took. And Amazon, take some notes while you're working on that God of War show, please.
Oh, Jesus, they're doing that? Jesus Christ. Oh no.
So but yeah, I really liked it. Now, I do want to say one thing just real quick. We talked about this in the off live when Keaton left last time. Just to avoid spoilers and stuff like that. Once we finally got the Ashley Johnson thing, because I talked about that casting, those two look so similar. It's uncanny.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could easily pass Bella as her
like her kid. I said the same thing when I watched it. I was like, whoa, that's like, I even guessed what was going on before that because I looked at her and I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Look kind of, that was crazy.
Once I realized they cast Ashley Johnson as her mother in this, I was like, oh my God, I love this even more.
Yes,
but
sir.
You guys can find me at Omni Media, OMN1 Media at everything. Do reactions, movie reviews, live streams, all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, that's my piece so far.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate it, man. Elise, final thoughts on the season, rating for the episode, rating for the season, and then where can everybody find you?
Yeah, I also think it's a 9.5, and it definitely exceeded my expectations. The first time they even said, like, yeah, let's make a movie about The Last of Us, I was just so scared. I mean, I'm also a Resident Evil fan, and we all suffered collectively with the adaptations. But I'm just so glad that HBO took it and that Neil got to be part of it and that it was Craig Mazin, the producer, and all that. So I think it was great, not only for the fans, but for people who never played it. And I'm really glad that we get to see the stories of things that we didn't have a context on. So for me, definitely exceeded my expectations. So I'm going to say 9.5 because I have a few things here and there, especially about episode 5. But I'm really looking forward to season 2. I have no idea how they're going to pull it off. But yeah, we'll be up for it. And my name is Alice Monstrinho, so you get to find me anywhere with the same, Alice Monstrinho. But I have, if you happen to speak Portuguese, I have a channel called The Last of Us Database, or The Last of Us DB. So we do a lot of content, we do live streams, and also read audio files from the game. I had the chance to to do Anna's audio file, so I was reading Anna's letter, and we're doing some of these in English. They're not yet published, but we'll be having Anna and Aish and all the other files also in English. So hopefully that'll be fun for everyone else to watch. And thanks again, guys, for inviting me here. I had lots of fun, and it was great to see everyone's perspective on this amazing series.
Yeah, thank you so much for showing up for the finale. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you guys. Sorry about being late.
No, you're fine. Keaton, it's different for you because you can't really make a comparison. But as far as the season is concerned, as far as the episode,
10 gets a 10. It would get 11 if they had more people in that hospital for Joe to kill. It was good. I give it a 10. I absolutely love this show. I kind of don't like, there's a part of me that doesn't want to play the game just because I want to keep this same feeling that I have for the show. But like, the acting was just stupendous, and the way that they just left it, where I felt like just that lie that he told at the end is what weighed on me the heaviest. And I'm like, wow, like that really just happened. It was, I thought it was flawlessly done. Like, kudos to HBO. But you can find me. I'm with TeamJVS, and then on the side, I also have a podcast with my good friend Dr. Amelia Brown called Bat Therapy. We focus on mental health awareness, self-care, and we go through movies and TV shows and books, and we break down different like mental health diagnoses and just what people are going through in and throughout whatever we're studying for each topic each week. You can find us on YouTube, Amazon, Pandora, everywhere. You can find us everywhere. Apple, Spotify, and that's Bat Therapy. We have a website, bat-therapy.com. You can also find me on Twitter. I mostly get up there to complain, but you can find me up there. But yeah.
Hey, I vote for you going through Joel Miller. Bring me and Ronan. We would love to contribute.
100%. 100%. No, absolutely. I actually, like, during the podcast, I messaged Amelia. I was like, we really need to break down Last of Us. Like, I think that'd be a really good one. And so, yeah, I think we'll definitely be exploring that because, yeah, he's a very interesting character.
Yeah. Thanks, dude. Jarrell, rating on this episode, rating on the season, and where can everybody find you?
Well, you can just as it is on the screen, you can find me at Jarrell's Alexandria. Exactly how it's spelled. That'll lead you to everything, mostly on YouTube, and especially I've been on Twitter a lot recently. But oh man, rating. I think with the season, I think I'm still in the same place. I think the season's good. I think it's a 7 out of 10 for me. I just love the game so deeply. Jesus Christ, it's like the gold standard of the execution of the plot. And I implore anyone to play the games. My God, to say there's a difference is an understatement. And both are they're just as great. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the finale. What the hell would I rate the finale? I'd probably give it like an 8 or 9 out of 10. I'm not sure where I'm at with that, but 8 or 9 out of 10. It's a clearly great episode. I don't know why the hell they made it 43 minutes, but it's a great episode for sure. Y'all are not ready for season 2. Absolutely no spoilers, but the best thing I can tell y'all without telling you nothing is that Ari Aster's Hereditary is one of my favorite movies. And if the first game is it's like the first half of Hereditary, the second game is just like the last, like just the ending of Hereditary, like the last 30-40 minutes or some shit, where everything just loses its mind and it's just cursed. It's just cursed. The whole thing is just cursed.
Yeah, I do have a well, we need to talk afterwards, but there is an announcement about season 2 that the second game is not going to be just one season. It's going to be spread out between multiple seasons. They haven't clarified how many, but as we know that the second game doesn't start until 5 years from this moment. So they're gonna be, I think, filling in those gaps. I just want to make sure I leave that out there without saying too much more. Last but not least, my co-host, Ronan.
Oh.
You gonna play something on the guitar?
Oh.
Oh, shit. Guitar right there, dog?
What do you guys want to play?
Freebird.
Freebird.
That's so crazy.
I'll play some Pearl Jam. Listen. When they announced that Craig was from Chernobyl was going to do this show, I said, whoa, this is something not to overlook at. And trailers came out, the footage came out, and I'm like, Bella feels like Ellie. This looks good. Can it be good? And these past months have been a heck of a journey, and they stuck the landing for me. They stuck the landing, and in stuck in that landing, Bella and Pedro give out some incredible performances with these characters. Similar, different than what Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson did, but I think it enhances my experience with the game. There you go, Kenya. You got it. I also appreciate that they brought Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson into the fold, that they got roles. That meant a lot to me. When she appeared, I think Omni one said it as well, but I'm like, I heard a grunt. I'm like, that's Ashley. It's not BS. Oh my gosh, she's the mother. Oh my god, this is poetic. I loved it. And you go, I'm at Ronan Chain. You could go on Twitter, on YouTube to check out videos, reviews, reactions. I'm covering The Mandalorian now because Pedro Pascal season is going forward. But yeah, I implore people to go watch how whiplash me and Sam got during this finale with our reaction. The giraffe scene, I've been waiting for that to be adapted and see how it would still hit me. The confession of Joel and with the gun. And I have to admit that like parts, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm overthinking it, but parts with the giraffe I could tell was VFX. And to clarify for people who don't know, for a lot of that footage, they used a real giraffe when Bella Ellie is interacting with the giraffe. That was a real giraffe, and I was like, holy shit, that is so cool.
You're right.
This is the best case scenario that we could have gotten with an adaptation. I love the foreshadow, and we've been saying this for a lot of the episode, that foreshadow is going to hit at the finale, and a lot of it did, and that word is going to stick out a lot with this series, and I hope people are ready and prepared for that. And also for someone who doesn't get that much attention, folks, I'll say it again. Buy, download, whatever, Gustavo Santaolalla's music. The music for this show is so effing good that I don't even have to see an image or see, an episode. Just listening to it brings back the memories and the feelings I got out of the show in this finale. And if you want to see me more rambling about this show, go to my channel. I've done enough videos to do about that. And this was so much fun, and glad it's happened.
I guess for me, I think the finale, it's grown on me. Initially, it was like a 9 or 9.5. At this point now, it's kind of a 10 out of 10 for me. Like I love the amount of conversation we had just coming off of this episode. Like we didn't even talk about anything else, just this episode. And so for me, like that speaks volumes. Like if you can hit on the finale in such a way that there brings out so much more open conversation, that's everything. Especially from a game that I've played multiple different times that I already know the story. The fact is that somebody asked the question, should there have been a Last of Us series or a movie if there was already a perfect game? Should they even have attempted? And the reason why I'm giving the rating as high as I am is because they convinced me as I'm watching it that, wow, there's room for this. There's an extension to this thing that I love that they brought manifest in such a way that's captivating to me. It's either a 9 or a 10 out of 10 for me as far as the series. This is a day one buy. When it comes out in 4K,
Blu-ray,
I gotta buy it. It's not even a question. I gotta add it to my collection. I only now buy stuff that like I want to keep in the event that I have no internet. I have to just pick up the physical disc and put it in my. But but yeah, you guys, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you guys for sticking with us.
Thank you, everybody.
In 8 minutes.
This was awesome. Oh my fucking
god. Everybody, we'll be back whenever season 2 begins.
Oh yeah.
So stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys. Peace, people.